Here we are waiting to be thrown off the concourse at Wembley in the shadow of 5 legends and a plaque for Neil Fox, because they can afford to stick 6 people on it. It's the Challenge Cup Final 2018. It's Wembley, it's done. History is made. Allez le Catalans. Phil Caplan, editor-at-large of Forty20 magazine. What a day for rugby league in France, and a day for rugby league in general.
I think that's the thing, it's fantastic for France, and listening to Steve McNamara get emotional in the press conference, along with his captain Remy Castille, the longest serving player at the Dragons, and man of the match Tony Gigo, they stressed right from the very beginning that this was for the people of France who couldn't come to watch the game live, can't wait to get back there. Expecting 10,000 people to meet them at the airport, a 4-day party where Bernard Gouache is providing the meat and the wine will flow that the Roussillon region is famous for. And it's funny standing here now in the aftermath of it all, thinking 20 years ago, Sheffield won, and we thought that's a great day for spreading the name of rugby league and getting more people who perhaps aren't familiar with the game involved. This same opportunity now arises. I think, yes, they deserve to win. Yes, it's a landmark day for the sport in France. Yes, the Vichy government and all of the backdrop is vitally important at a time like this. The backstory of a year ago being in the £1 million game and halfway to relegation, the start to this season where it got to Easter, and a lot of people quite rightly saying, can it go on in the way that it is, to lifting the first trophy that not only the club has ever won but has ever left these shores is massive. But it's bigger for rugby league. It's an opportunity at a crossroads time in the sport where expansion is something that we need to speak about, to say this is a great day for the sport, let's capitalise on it.
Not to deal in stereotypes, but the French love beauty of all kinds. That trophy on the statue behind us is a beautiful piece of silverware. How do we get the French media to buy into rugby à 13?
Well, the good thing was there were a lot of French media here. There was a lot of radio commentary going back, and the Catalan television station that's free to air took the game live. So I think there will be a lot of interest when they come back. I think people like L'Equipe now can't ignore rugby league. Papers that have put small paragraphs behind other sports will now have to make a big splash about this. This is a big deal, and it's partly for them to capitalise in the south of France, which I think they will. Again, we through an interpreter spoke to Bernard Gouache. We've heard from Christophe Jouffret, the CEO, that this is important, that they're going to make the most of this. But the main issue, I think, is what does rugby league make of this? This is an opportunity for the sport of rugby league to say, we can now shape our future in the knowledge that teams that aren't from a traditional area, although Catalan is, which we forget, can make a massive contribution to the future of this sport.
I don't want to talk about people who've belittled the Catalans this week and what they do and don't bring to the sport. What they certainly brought today was a team ethic from minute 1 to the final hooter, and never stopped defending, and got off to the perfect start with that try from Lewis Tierney.
I think there's 2 things. One is they took every chance that was offered to them, and you don't get many when we saw with Warrington that they probably had 3 times Tom Lynham was caught just short of the line. Deck Patton nearly got over. Ben Westwood missed the chance to perhaps take the game into extra time. But what Catalan did was every time they exposed a weakness, they scored on the back of it. But what won it for them in the last 20 minutes, when they didn't score a point, didn't really go down the other end of the field, was some really desperate scrambling defence. And for that they need to be credited, because that's what wasn't there at the beginning of the season. That's what Steve McNamara has engendered in his team. I think it's also important that we point out that 9 of the 17 were Frenchmen. And Michael Goudamond, who came off the bench, that was his 6th or 7th game as a professional. Fantastic. The future is really important. Toulouse getting in the playoffs, again, it's all a story that we can now tell in the south of France. Television companies were here. Louis Bonnery, who's been a stalwart of French rugby league, was doing commentary with Rodolphe Pires for BN, and they've been massive advocates for what rugby league can bring to their region. And the truth is that more than anything that they say, that trophy will. It's massive, but what I would have liked, and it's hindsight, and it's a wonderful thing, it's not meant as a criticism, but I just thought that after we'd had the press conferences, Steve Price, understandably gutted, wasn't on for very long. But a wonderful press conference, I thought, from Steve McNamara and the two French players, one who'd won the Lance Todd Trophy, the other their longest serving player. What it then needed was probably a Ralph Rimmer to come in and just say at the end of that, this is important for the sport, this is how we intend to build on it, this is what we expect this result to lead to, and this is a massive day for Rugby League.
There are many great Frenchmen in the history of our sport who've given us many things, not least the name of the World Cup, but Tony Gigot making history, the first Frenchman to win the Lance Todd Trophy. I thought it was very difficult to pick any individual, as he said himself, but a man who's had a colourful last few years, but Absolutely. What a performance and what a hero for French Rugby League.
And I think there are seminal moments in a game that it's never won with one piece of individual magic, but his 40-20 was really important. And the skill to do that at the at such a crucial time at the beginning of the second half, which gave them the gap then with the try on the back of it to hold on defensively. I thought when Casti and McAlorum came back, that was massive defensively, tightened them all up. But Lewis Tierney on the wing had a great game. Braden Williami was good. I think Samisoni Langi is never mentioned, but he's been really important in this revival as well. But it was up front that they won it. I just thought they were so solid. Everyone who came off the bench made a contribution. Jean Gallier, Puy Golbert, these great names. Paul Barriere, who obviously gave his name to the World Cup. Tony Gigot's name is now up there. The interesting thing as well is where he was, at the beginning of this season. He was facing the remainder of a 2-year ban. Cleared his name quite rightly, and I don't think even he could have imagined that at the end of August he would be fated with the Lance Todd Trophy.
Safe to say, Catalans aren't going to win the challenge at the grand final at the end of the season. I'm not sure they're going to win another game this year, but I don't think it matters.
I think Steve McNamara hinted in the press conference when he said that, are we bothering to play these last 5 games? No, they know they can't make the semi-finals. The interesting thing is where Warrington go from here. That they've got a game on Thursday, which is ridiculous. Just speaking to one of their staff, I think Leeds play Hull KR on Saturday afternoon, and they asked if that game could be swapped on the Thursday. Neither of those teams had played for a fortnight, wouldn't have made any difference. Still televisual event on that broadcaster. Given Warrington just a little bit more time to lick their wounds, Thursday to go to Hull is a huge ask. If they lose that, following week they play Huddersfield in what is effectively almost a playoff game to make the semis, so their season could unravel in the next 2 weeks. I hope it doesn't. I think again Steve Price has done a good job. There's been a lot of talk in the media this week about turning around a really poor 2017, and they've done that to get to a major final. I'd like to see them make the semis, maybe have a crack at St Helens and see if they can get to Old Trafford, but no, Catalan season is finished. There's a party on the beach for the most of next week. I wish we were there. I think that Bernard will make sure that anybody who wants a drink in that part of the world can have a drink. I think they're all planning on being hungover till Thursday. I don't know who they play this week, but whoever it is, lump on now because they're going to lose.
Vive la France, vive la Trieste, or whatever rugby league is in French, I don't know, I can't speak French. And Viva 4020 TV, more of which to come. Stay tuned to social media.